Hello friends, Michael Hoffner here, and welcome to the Haff-Life episode 2, a very special Halloween edition. And so I'm glad you're watching. I got a lot of great feedback from everybody last week, and probably the biggest one is I talk too much because I ramble, and it was a little long. So my promise is this week it will be shorter, which also means I may talk kind of fast. So here we go. Halloween. Why talk about Halloween? Why is it important? What does it mean? Well, I have a lot of friends that are believers, and you normally end up in two camps about Halloween if you're a believer. And the reason for that is you either believe that it's from Satan and completely evil and you should avoid it at all costs, or it's no big deal. And so I hope to kind of articulate a little bit of those two camps and give you some things to think about. If you want some more information on that, I want to point you to an article that I found online on the website thoughtco.com. It was written by Mary Fairchild, and the article's name is Should Christians Celebrate Halloween? She does a great job of representing both sides and give you some food for thought on why you stand and why you believe in what you believe. Okay, so let's start with a little history. History of Halloween. Halloween started as the Gaelic celebration of Samhain, spelled Samhain. I don't know how you say that from those letters, but whatever. And the thought was this was a transition from the harvest or fall season into winter. And winter was a darker, colder time, obviously. So it was believed that on October 31st that the veil or the separation between the land of the living and the land of the dead would thin, and you'd be able to pass between these two realms. And it kind of creepy. They believed that those who were dead could pass through and come and be among those who were living, and those who were living could accidentally slip through and end up in the land of the dead. And if you weren't where you were supposed to be at the end of the night, bad things would happen. And so they began burning bonfires to kind of scare off evil spirits, and they would dress up and they would put out things on their front porch to give to spirits of family members that might come back. Weird traditions, yada, yada, yada. Well, it had dwindled in size quite a bit. And about 800 AD, the Catholic Church decided that they were going to try and get rid of this celebration once and for all. And they moved the celebration of All Saints' Day, or the celebration of all of the saints that had come before and past, from May to November 1st. This celebration would start at sundown October 31st and run till sundown November 1st. This was trying to blot everything out. So we would be celebrating those who were dead, but those who were dead and contributed to the church. All Saints' Day or All Hallows' Day, the day before being All Hallows' Eve or Halloween. That's how it gets its name. So the church actually attempted, and in my opinion really did, get rid of Samhain. Now, there are still plenty of pagans and Wiccans that celebrate Samhain. In fact, about 680,000 of them in the United States. And just to give you a comparison about how many that is, because it seems like a lot, that's about the population of Washington, D.C. No, I'm not saying that Washington, D.C. is made up of Wiccans and pagans. I don't think. But really, that's not that many people when you think about it, in the grand scheme of the United States. What does modern day Halloween have in common with ancient Halloween? Well, for most of us, very little. For the pagans and Wiccans, there are seances and things like that are really creepy going on that day. And if you have experience with those things, I can completely understand why you avoid Halloween. In fact, I have a really good friend that I used to serve at a previous church with. She was one of our greatest volunteers, but when it came to Halloween, she wouldn't serve on Fall Festival or any of that stuff because of her history with Wicca. And so I totally get that. For most of the rest of us, though, we don't have those experiences. And so where should we land on Halloween? Well, Scripture is pretty clear in Deuteronomy about witchcraft and sorcery and soothsaying and those types of things. Deuteronomy chapter 18. I don't know if I said 10. It was 18. In verses 10 through 12, God gets kind of pointed about these things. And he says, "There shall not be found among you anyone who makes his son or daughter pass through the fire," which was this celebration or whatever you want to call it, "one who uses divination, one who practices witchcraft, or one who interprets omens or kind of fortune tells, one who's a sorcerer, one who casts out spells, or as a medium or a spiritist, or one who calls up the dead," creepy, "or for whoever does these things is detestable in the Lord, and because of these detestable things, the Lord your God will drive them out." Whoa. Okay? This comes back to an important stance and a challenge to you. It comes down to what you believe about good and evil. Okay? How you believe good and evil works. In most of modern culture, Eastern traditions, most kind of secular beliefs is that good and evil kind of exist in this balance, like the yin and yang. There's equal parts good, equal parts bad. In fact, Star Wars does it, light side, dark side. And there has to be equal parts for everything to be in balance. But if you're a believer in Jesus Christ, you believe Scripture is true, you don't believe that. Why? Because God is more powerful than anything. Good rules over evil. Hands down, every time we win. This is important because how we view things that could be evil change when we believe that God has power over them. In that case, God says, those people that dabble in those dark spiritual things, I'm going to drive them out. Now, do I really think that you could brew up a special potion and get things to happen? No. Do I think that crystals can change? I don't know. All the different pagan and Wiccan things are very interesting to me, but they all seem pretty hokey. And in the end, all they're trying to do is stir up a dark spiritual force. My fear on that is they really can't control that dark spiritual force because the patriarch of all things evil is Lucifer himself, which is a fallen angel. Him and the rest of his angels kicked out of heaven because he attempted to be like God, and he's not able to be. God proved it right there. You're not me. Get out of here. Okay? So if that's what the pagans and Wiccans are trying to do, is try and elicit some response from Satan and the demons, they're dabbling in something they probably shouldn't be. And that's why God warned his people, stay away from them. I'm going to drive them out because they are trying to elicit a response from the evil among evil. For those of you who are believers, if you are found in me, evil has really no bearing on you because you are found in me and I'm more powerful than evil. So don't go dabbling in those things. Stay close to me. Now, this is where the stance for most people that don't participate in Halloween comes out. They say, I don't want anything to do with it. I don't even look like I have anything to do with it, which I get. But most people that are celebrating Halloween, especially in America, are not making an altar to Baal in their front yard. They are not bowing down to Satan or, drawing pentagrams on things. What they're trying to do is have fun with their kids, to dress up in characters from movies and books and things like that. They are not attempting to reenact Samhain in modern culture. And that's the thing, is that what exactly are you doing? Now, for a lot of people that say we don't participate, they point to 1 Corinthians 10. 1 Corinthians 10 outlines that we should have nothing to do with anything that's offered to other gods. Specifically in that passage, it's talking about food. People would offer food to these fake altars to fake gods. And God was saying, don't eat it. Don't even mess with it. I get. But at the end of that passage, there's a very important verse, and it says, whatever you do, whether you eat or drink, whatever you do, do it for the glory of the Lord. That's our purpose. If you're a believer, your purpose is to point people to God. What more could you do? Is there an opportunity maybe sometime in the year where all of your neighbors that you don't know, because you don't know all of your neighbors, most people don't, they actually come and knock on your door and ask for candy? Or even better, you take your kids and knock on their door and ask for candy. And you can introduce yourself and actually point at your house and go, hey, I live over there. Sorry, we've never said hi. Love to get to know you more. Guess what? There's a night every year that you can do that. October 31st. Churches have attempted to make a safe alternative by having fall festivals on October 31st. Well, for our church, we don't do it on October 31st. For that simple reason is that we want our church members to be in their community, connecting with people. We still have ours at our church because we know people love to come out and do that. And if we can get anybody to come and see our building and meet the actual church, which is the people, and realize that we love them and we're just like them, and God has something so much better for them through hanging out and sharing, roasted corn or a s'more, then that's what we should be doing. And yeah, there's candy involved, and yeah, the kids can wear their costumes, but we're not doing anything silly like worshiping false gods. Same thing on the actual night of Halloween. We're going and partaking in a cultural event that is not worshiping a false god. And so I encourage you, if you don't participate in Halloween, how can you use Halloween as an opportunity to maybe have conversations with people that are walking up and down your street? That's kind of crazy to think about. you actually could have conversations on a night that was meant for something really evil to drive up evil spirits and use it for good. So see it as an opportunity. It's also just a fun time of year for our kids and their imagination. I teach kids at church, and I strongly encourage parents to encourage imagination. Kids are going to adventure down all kinds of paths, and exploring their imagination is a healthy thing for them. Clearly defining what is true and what is not is important. The same way that I don't believe that Harry Potter or Luke Skywalker are actual people, I don't believe that the witches of fiction, okay, are real things or the likes. Does that make sense? So communicating those things clearly to them. Now, yes, there are dark truths behind a lot of that. But clearly stating what is fact and what is not, or what is speculation with your kids is important. Don't let them, we do our best to try and point our kids away from monsters and scary things like that, because they're not real, but in the imagination of a child, they tend to kind of stew and stir and can frighten them. I affirm in my kids all the time, are you God's? And if you are God's, then you are in the safest place you can be. You have nothing to fear. Trust in him. Do what he asks and what he tells, and you'll be right where you need to be. And so I encourage you, as Halloween comes up next Tuesday, to find a way to participate that honors and glorifies God. Whatever that looks like for you and your family. Maybe that is you don't participate in the trick-or-treating, but maybe you're out handing out candy, not in costume, just saying hi to people and meeting and greeting people. I do ask you to do one thing. If you are the family that likes to hand out tracts, that's awesome. Don't only hand out tracts. It makes the rest of us look bad, because that kid is going to hate you forever because all he got was a piece of paper and not a piece of candy. At least tape a piece of candy to it, okay? Okay? Awesome. Hey, we are supposed to be generous, loving people. Be generous and loving next Tuesday for Halloween. And who knows? Maybe we'll see God overcome the fears of Halloween in a way that we can't even possibly think or imagine, okay? So next Friday, me and my wife will be right here. If you can't see that, that is the Epcot Ball, Spaceship Earth. We will be celebrating 15 years. I'm very excited to do it kid-free with her at the Food and Wine Festival there. We're going to spend most of the weekend at Disney World and Universal Studios having a grand time. And so we may shoot a short video and share it with y'all then for Haff-Life Episode 3. And so thank y'all so much for watching. God bless, and we will hopefully see you next week. Bye.